a problem without a solution.
Wake up, wake up.
America is already great.
Wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up.
When they go low, we go high.
That's our motto. We want freedom by any means necessary.
Wake up. The front page with Dominic DePrima is on. News, knowledge, and your voice. The views and opinions expressed on the front page are not necessarily those of Taxi Productions or KJLH. Rise, shine, and stay woke. It's the front page with Dominic DePrima on Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.
If you dare to struggle, you dare to win. If you dare not to struggle, then you don't deserve to win.
Wake up, wake up.
Wake up, wake up. Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the front page on 102.3 Radio Free KJLH. My name is Starlett Quarles, and I will be filling in for Dominique again this morning. I hope you have been tuning in this week. We have had an absolutely amazing Kwanzaa series. On Monday, we celebrated the principle of umoja, or unity, with our show entitled Gentrification and the Next Generation. Tuesday, Kujichagulia, self-determination, and we discuss religion or spirituality. What does this generation really believe? Yesterday, we honored Ujima, or collective work and responsibility, with our topic, empowering today's young black males. And today, we conclude our Kwanzaa series with the fourth principle of the Nguzo Saba, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, with our show Entrepreneurship and Black Wall Street Community. So thank you so much for waking up and joining us here on the front page. So today is, unfortunately, our last Kwanzaa show. I've had an absolutely ball celebrating Kwanzaa with the front page family. And today's day 4, Ujamaa, or cooperative economics. And our show is entitled Entrepreneurship and Today's Black Wall Street Communities. And as defined by Kwanzaa founder Dr. Malana Karenga, Ujamaa means to build and maintain our own stores, shop, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Now, y'all already know. I'm going to jump right back to our early conversation on gentrification, because we talked about it, about having a true desire to have an economic, cultural space that we can really claim as our own. Not because we live there in large numbers, but because that is where we live, play, work, pray, and we own the dirt. It's where our dollar recycles in our communities for more than just an hour, but for generations. But how? How can we practice cooperative economics if we don't change some of our life principles? So I have 4 questions that I'd like for us to ponder. 1, how can we practice cooperative economics if we don't have a cultural commitment to do so? Keeping it 100, many of us have sold our family homes and businesses to other cultures, didn't want to blame it on gentrification. But the reality is we have chosen to sell our family legacies for the dollar versus the cultural connectivity. And I get it. It's hard to walk away from someone offering thousands of dollars beyond your asking price. We live in a capitalistic society, but that's why it's called cultural commitment. 2, how can we practice cooperative economics if we don't have an economic agenda, strategy, or knowledge on how to even play the game? I love my people. I do. But sometimes we are just emotional, all up in our feelings. Marching and protesting absolutely has its place in our revolution, but not burning our communities down. That absolutely does not, unless we can build it back up. But if you're marching without an agenda, then you're just walking. We're just getting some real good cardio in. We have to learn how to play the game. We have to be spooks by the door. We need seats at the table. Because in this current administration, the only thing that's going to create real change in our communities is power and money. They see marching as a temporary fix, a Band-Aid, a distraction. So instead of feeling some type of way about this new tax bill, just quietly get in his lane and form a corporation. 3, how can we practice cooperative economics if we don't even have the desire to leave family legacies? Isn't that biblical? Aren't we supposed to be doing that? Because you can't take it with you. So aren't we supposed to be leaving an economic footprint for our kids, and beyond? I'm just saying. And lastly, 4, how can we practice cooperative economics if we don't even have a solid example or roadmap on how to do so? Now, because I'm not aware of the socioeconomics of all the Black communities across the country, I'm going to only speak to my microscopic experience here in Black Los Angeles. But there is no true Black community here. While yes, we may live in a certain area in large numbers, but there is definitely not a specific geographic area where the majority, if not all, of the homes, schools, and businesses are Black owned and operated. But you know who does have some solid examples? Communities like Chinatown, Koreatown. And have you seen Little Tokyo lately in LA? And where do you think they got their money from to recycle in their communities and to pass down to their kids? Some from the liquor stores, gas stations, beauty supplies, and fast food franchises that tend to plague our communities. So, in my humble opinion, until we can honestly answer and address these 4 questions as a community and courageously practice and accept Dr. Karenga's charge for us to engage in cooperative economics, then I don't know if we'll ever have enough power to experience our much-deserved revolution. But let's talk about it. Because like Obama, I do have the audacity of hope. So in honor of today's Kwanzaa principal, Ujamaa, our conversation is entitled Entrepreneurship in Today's Black Wall Street Communities. And I entitled it that because there is a generation or two out there who do not even know that in 1921, we did, in fact, have an example of cooperative economics at work. It was called Black Wall Street. The community was and is called Greenwood, located in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we built and owned an economic cultural space that we could claim as a true Black community. We were said to have owned 600 businesses, 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, 6 private airplanes, 2 movie theaters, a hospital, a bank, and our own bus and school system. For it all to be burned down in less than 24 hours due to white envy, hate, and institutionalized racism. And that community has never been the same since. So what's disheartening about this moment in our Black history is that not only were homes and businesses burned down, but also the lessons, roadmaps, and opportunities on how to recreate and rebuild another Black Wall Street. And not just in Tulsa, but around the country. So, for today's conversation, we want to talk about our need to own our own businesses and recycle our $1.1 trillion Black dollars in specific geographical areas in every major metropolitan city across the country. Just like we have Chinatowns and Koreatowns, we also need to have Black Wall Street communities. So let me introduce our guests for today's conversation, Entrepreneurship and Today's Black Wall Street Communities. We have my first guest, Pecans. I call her Pecans. Chanel Frampton, who is the founder of SB's Solutions Brokers, a brokerage consulting firm that champions for the success of today's nonprofits. She is also the director of programs for the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce, or GLAAACC, where she manages the daily operations of the organization, including the implementation and administration of the policies and programs established by its board of directors. And in full disclosure, I sit as one of GLAAACC's current board members.
All right.
GLAAACC's mission as a chamber of commerce is to advocate and promote the economic growth and the development of African American businesses by focusing on legislative advocacy as well as identifying and developing business opportunities and strategic business alliances. Please welcome my girl, Chanel Frampton. Good morning, Ladybug.
Good morning, pralines. Thank you for having me.
We got this thing going called Pecans and Pralines. Next, we have a longtime friend of mine, that I've known from the real estate community, who has grown to become an absolutely fantastic entrepreneur in her own right. Miss Kenya Kirkland is a Los Angeles-based designer, philanthropist, and boutique owner of Shop 1323, but you recently changed it to Vanity, right here in Inglewood on La Brea and 64th Place, where she designs an escape for women. Through her designs, Kenya expresses her love and support of women of all sizes, ages, and races. And her message of empowerment and overcoming adversity is shared through her styling, public speaking, and business mentorship. Kenya is also the executive director of A Step to Freedom, which serves Los Angeles' homeless population. Please welcome my girl, Kenya, with her matte lips this morning. Kenya Kirkland, too. The front page. Welcome, Ladybug.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for waking up with me. Last but certainly not least is Mr. Dion Rambo, who is the president of Rambo House, which is a marketing firm that political leaders now call on for their most important community-centered campaigns, like the Los Angeles Sanitation Initiatives and Mayor Eric Garcetti's Small Business Portal campaigns. Mr. Rambo has over 20 years of experience in executive-level strategic marketing, communications solutions, outreach, and event management, and has led the design, development, and delivery of cross-functional solutions to government agencies, private businesses, and nonprofit organizations. Under Dion's leadership, Rambo House's public outreach initiatives have now reached over 40,000. That is, over 40,000 families and 10,000 businesses just in the last 12 months, y'all. You have to hook up with Mr. Dion Rambo if you have a small business here in Los Angeles. He is also the founder of Building LA Today, which helps minority businesses have a fair chance at receiving city and private contracts. And we're definitely going to talk about that today. So please welcome Mr. Dion Rambo.
Hello.
To the front page. Good morning, family. Good morning, family. So I just want to ask you, like I said, I mentioned so many of us don't know about Black Wall Street. In all honesty, I didn't find out about Black Wall Street till after I left UCLA, right? Because at UCLA, you kind of have to opt into your Black history. But, you went to a historically Black college, and I'm sure stories like Black Wall Street are not unfamiliar to you. There's so many things that we don't know here in Los Angeles about our Black history and the depth of it. So I'm going to start with you, Chanel. First of all, are you familiar with Black Wall Street?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Please just share your perspective on our ability back then. I mean, I know it's all relative in terms of time. And, they were, due to racism, they were forced to be, we were forced to have to be able to fend for ourselves and create our own community. So I get it. It's relative. But just in terms of our ability to be able to do that, to build our own hospitals, schools, busing systems, talk about your perspective of Black Wall Street.
So like you, I went to a historically white school growing up in private school. So I wasn't aware of Black Wall Street until I attended Howard University. Shout out Bisons, if anybody's up. Until I actually went to Howard. So, the understanding of what the community did in Greenwood and Oklahoma was amazing. But these stories, like so many others of African American communities actually being affluent, are things that we miss in our history and our culture. Like, if we don't teach each other and we don't share this to our children, who is? I mean, it's not our counterpart and our others that we can look to actually assist in the education of our children. So Black Wall Street to me is just proof of one of the many accomplishments as an African American community that we have done. Do I think it can still exist? Yes.
Okay.
In LA? I don't know.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. Miss Kenya.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with Black Wall Street?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And where did you first hear about it? High school, college? You just on your own as an adult?
Just on my own, I believe, as an adult, not college. I went to Clark Atlanta, Black University, so yes, CAU, HBCU experience. But I believe I learned about Black Wall Street as an adult.
Okay.
Not surprised about the concept at all. Not surprised about that experience. Proud of it. And I definitely believe we can recreate it. Our desire to integrate, I think, was the downfall of us establishing these communities on our own. Our desire,
independent of it being burned down and just not having the resources or the capital or whatever, the opportunity, the racism. But I get it. Like I said, the lessons, the desire to want to pass that down. I mean, after they burned your whole community down, you don't feel like talking about nothing.
That's true.
Yeah, and wasn't everyone in jail? Like, weren't they put in jail? So, yeah.
But just the lesson, the lessons that, in terms of things that weren't passed down.
That's just an example to me of the war against African Americans for generations and generations. I mean, not only was the whole community burned down, but they were jailed. It was, that was a message.
Yeah.
Don't y'all try this again.
Right. Mr. Rambo.
Do I believe we can redo it again, reestablish it again?
Or just what are your thoughts on Black Wall Street and just our ability to be able to do that?
I like the idea. I don't think it's something we can pull off again. I think it was because in the early 1900s we were kind of forced into a community, right? Like you said, I think you nailed it all, and we're not really back at that. We can't even now stand together for insufficient fund fees that our parents. I mean, there's issues and stuff that we can't even stand together now digitally for. Okay. I don't think the principles are in place to do the Black Wall Street. I think the idea is in place because we all have a bond of. We're all oppressed, but we good. We good. When we leave here, we're going to our cars and we're going to our different neighborhoods. So I don't think we can bring that back again. I think we can do it digitally.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Just as easy.
A digital Black Wall
Street? I think
Street?
we can make a digital version of how income is shared. You know what I'm saying? But I think even when the word was used as like Black Wall Street, I think it was just kind of, this is like really bad.
Okay.
But
so why do you guys, anybody can chime in, so why do you guys think it's important that we share this story about what Black wealth looks like and recycling Black dollars and what an all Black community looks like? Can you start with you? Because you have a daughter, you have kids. So why is it important that we share that with our kids and they know about this bit of Black history?
The possibilities, man. It's one thing to look forward to something or dream about something that you've never seen or that's never happened. But then to know that someone came before you and that people were actually successful at this. And it's kind of almost like a little motivational to me to know that they were, I mean, it's sad, but the fact that they were taken out like that, like it's sad, but I'm like, nah, we got to do something like that again. We got to come back from that, you know? So I think the lesson in it is just to know how powerful we are and know that we can accomplish things of that magnitude.
You know?
I definitely agree. If I never saw Obama as president, I wouldn't think it would be possible for a black man to be president. And that's just being honest with that. And so in terms of Black Wall Street, educating our youth on what we did accomplish will empower them and give them the opportunity to not necessarily, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it could be recreated in LA, but something like Dion was saying, maybe digital or another extension of what today's Black Wall Street could look.
But you do think it's important that youth see and understand this story, even if you don't think it's possible for today?
Yes.
Okay. That's fair. We can say that.
Yep. Whatever you say. Yep.
No, but do you have kids?
I do.
Okay, so do you talk to them about recycling back dollars and black entrepreneurship? First of all, how old are they?
15.
Okay, so
15.
They old enough to know.
But we donate a lot every year to foster kids.
Okay.
We have a lot of the foster kids, the IOPs and stuff that my company kind of funds.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't really teach black economics.
Why?
That way. I think we're bigger than that now, just in regards to I think the principles aren't the same as it used to be. I think it's important to respect your culture, things like that, but I'm a realist to the era that we're in.
Okay.
But I'm not anti.
No,
you know what I'm saying? I'm not anti-black,
I'm
but
just talking about what you're doing in your house.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Let me say that. Too many people know where I live. That's when you have events at your house. You got to stop having events at your house and having opinions.
So, Dion, I kind of get your perspective. But, ladies, I want to hear from you. Do you think it's possible for us to adopt and practice the principle of cooperative economics? And if so, what will it take for us to do that, Chanel?
I think we have an excellent opportunity right now in Leimert Park with all the development to just keep African-American businesses alive along Crenshaw.
But Leimert Park is gone. We lost Leimert Park.
Kind of.
We'll
talk about that. Yeah.
On the yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like, really, it's gone. I think, and I mean, GLAAACC is like one of the leaders in just the chamber in general. Like, you guys are very powerful. I'm a member of GLAAACC, actually.
I know that.
By the way. But we lost Leimert Park. We lost Leimert Park 15 years ago when they were planning to build the metro, and they started making a lot of the businesses not be approved for their signs because they were planning to come in and build. So we lost Leimert Park.
Don't you think that there was an opportunity a long time ago? Because although I didn't own a business in Leimert Park, I'm familiar that the rent was cheap. And there were probably opportunities to negotiate a rent to own.
Leimert Park to me always represented like where it was Leimert Park, Angela's Funeral Home and all that. It's like when people left South Central, like when they started in South Central and they were able to go on the other side of Maine. That's what Leimert Park to me represented. It's kind of like where the blacks kind of went to all up and down where Angela's is. So it became kind of a Black Wall Street only because blacks were there.
Right.
But we never really controlled it. It was just kind of a place we were going to.
Right. And, you know, I often say that I think that it should look like a Black Larchmont. So many entertainers have their own businesses, and black entertainers can bring their businesses there.
That's right.
I mean, there's wealth up them hills. Yeah. So there's only so many dashikis you can buy. We are at the top of the hour, and this is 102.3 Radio Free KJLH, Compton, Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Inglewood. In case you're just tuning in, where y'all laughing? There is.
Did y'all laugh at the sign?
No, I'm talking about the dashikis because there is.
Do you can buy?
Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, y'all.
Anyway, so in case you're tuning in, I'm Starlett Quarles, and today I'm filling in for Dominique DePrima. And this morning we are celebrating the Kwanzaa principle of Day 4, GLAAACC, or cooperative economics, with our show Entrepreneurship and today's Black Wall Streets. My guests include Chanel Frampton, Kenya Kirkland, and Dion Rambo. And I don't say that in any, not meaning to be offensive, but you have wealthy blacks that live right north of Leimert Park. Yeah. And some of us, and let's just keep it 100, some of us are not that culturally connected to where we want to go and buy things that represent African culture. You know, some of us don't even know about the Kwanzaa principles, but we're practicing them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's just keeping it 100. You got millionaires who are going to the West Side, who live in Baldwin Hills, View Park, Windsor Hills, and they're not going where they can walk down the street to this space that they can recycle their dollars and have merchandise and clothing and restaurants that they support on the West Side.
We still think white is right.
We still think white is right.
We still
you
think
said it, not me.
I'm gonna go to this boutique on Melrose, even though this girl got this cute little shop 2 blocks from me.
Right.
She does have a really cute shop, Vanity on La Brea.
Seriously.
but we see
it's craziness.
But I mean, we can all look at Fig. If you want to know where a fast food franchise is, go down Figueroa. Every single fast food franchise is on Figueroa. So
it's a lot of stuff on Figueroa.
What you know?
It's fast food. Ice Cube took Figueroa a long time ago.
Not only just with Leimert Park, but we can see it with Inglewood. We had ample opportunity to be able to buy the real estate.
But I think for you to know that it was for sale, you had to have a seat at the table. And I think a lot of people didn't know what was happening until it was too late.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Okay, I get that. But then sometimes there has to be something said for it being a cultural awareness, right? Wealth is taught in the home. So even if we didn't know that the train was coming, wealth is a mindset. Just like we're talking about this Black Wall Street, it's really a mindset at this point. Do you know what I mean? Because we're not going to be able to all own hospitals and schools and things of that nature as to the stuff that they did in Black Wall Street because they had to have a lifestyle.
Right.
But in terms of just wanting to recycle Black dollars, wanting to support Black businesses, wanting to sell your house to somebody Black, even if somebody who's not Black comes to you with an offer. I mean, that's a commitment. I mean, because I'm sure some of those Korean businesses get overbid by some white people who understand the value of their real estate. And the Korean community or the Hispanic community, they were just like, thank you for the offer, but I'm going to make sure that I can sell this to somebody of my own ethnicity. We don't do that. You talked about white folks' eyes being colder. Yes?
Yes.
Why do we still think that? Why don't we know that we're a $1.1 trillion consumer spending power and that we need to recycle it in? We see examples of it. Are we just hard-headed? What's going on?
But it was embedded in us. This is why I say, it was a war on Black folks in our minds, because in the early 20s, when our grandparents were thriving or whatever, you had to save your money under the mattress, jump. If you got some money, hold on to it.
Right.
If you get an offer for $1 million, you better take it. It's about the money. It's not about legacy building. It's about grab the money and take it and run. It's about, I'm afraid to even, some African American families don't even talk about wealth and money because they don't think they don't ever have none. As the younger generation, if I would talk to my grandmother about building, I literally was talking to my great aunt about building one of my father's lots, and she was like, "Oh, I can't wait for this girl to stop talking." Don't nobody want to talk about no hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars. Wow. It's just not a mindset of some generations.
Okay. All right. Dion, what about the Black wealth mindset? What is the Black wealth mind? What do we believe about wealth and money and legacy, in your opinion?
I think you said it right. I mean, we don't really get it all the way. I think we're more powerful now than we were in the era of Black Wall Street.
Okay.
I think anything that can be burnt down in 24 hours really wasn't that strong to begin with. Not
fire is fire.
Fire is fire.
Fire is fire.
Fire is fire, but savings and where your money is allocated and stuff like that is important. So
they burned the bank down.
Right. They only had one bank.
But I know, right?
Okay.
Exactly. Right. We only have one. But I think in our minds, it's like heaven. But really, they're going to look at us nowadays, 20, 50 years from now, and be like, man, y'all had it going on. Y'all could have started your own e-commerce. And nobody could have told you anything. You could have. I think we're underestimating the power that we have now in comparison.
Okay, so let me ask you. Okay, Chanel, you want to say something?
And I'll say this: I think quite a few African Americans wear their wealth.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing my $50,000 gold chain. I'm wearing my $200 Jordans. So what I've accomplished and the money that I created, now I'm wearing it.
Absolutely.
And you see it.
Just to kind of piggyback on our early conversation of gentrification earlier this weekend, and I was talking about the experience that we were having at the Bedford Group with our new condo project, and they were accusing us of gentrifying the community and that we're building this for white people. And so they were asking us, well, how can you guarantee that these are going to be sold to Black people? I said, because you're finding out a year and a half in advance. Like, save. If you know that your credit's not ready right, these condos, white people don't know that the condos are coming down the pipeline. 2 years in advance that these condos are coming down the pipeline. So if you can't qualify in 2 years, then whose fault is that?
It's
because
yours.
we told you that they were coming. So by the time the doors open, it's not going to be about black or white or brown. It's going to be about green. That's our business that we're in. But we're giving you a heads up. And so in terms of just the savings and the mindset and wanting to get those $3,000 red bottoms, but you live off of Crenshaw. So what is it about our inability to think about legacy? Kenya, I want to ask you, in your opinion, what does a Black economic agenda look like? If we were to have an economic agenda as Black people, what does that look like to you?
I was just going to say, I think a lot of us are ready, but we don't know what the next moves are.
Okay.
To Dion's point he made a little earlier, it's like we are probably the most powerful right now that we have in our history. Where do we start? To be honest with you, I think in the home, with educating our children and being brutally honest with ourselves and where we stand, both individually and together.
Okay, very good, Chanel.
I agree. I think it does start with education and educating the youth of community. You know, if you're trying to create this Black economic agenda, then it has to start at an early age, because it's hard to catch up after a while if you're used to, I know, especially in LA with everything being trendy, we have to have the best. And I know I have friends that won't drive past Pico.
Why?
Because they can't go in that area south of Pico, because that's their mindset. North of Pico, it's better, right?
All right, Dion.
I don't drive it's far on the east side. like I go home.
He was like, truth be told.
It's like if that's their culture. When somebody go, yeah, you got to go past Central. I'm like, ooh, yeah. And I'm from there. I grew up in South Central. And I was like, when I left South Central, I was like, I went back to visit and people surrounded my truck. I was like, yeah, okay, got it.
Are you afraid of your own people?
Yes, I am.
Ooh.
Some of them I am.
Okay, all right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when you grew up in it and you know lions, when the lion comes around sniffing, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not stupid. Other cultures too.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I think just in general, survival is just
so
survival.
That's what they think about you when you go north of Wilshire.
All good.
That's what the white people think about you.
You know what? And mentally, I had to, when I started building my company, I didn't go to school. So in order for me to become successful, what I did is I started sitting in other areas like Beverly Hills, Westwood and stuff. I was sitting in their coffee shops. I'd dress up, go to Goodwill, buy me some shirts, and I just faked it and act like I deserved. So I didn't act like they owed me anything. I just went in there and they didn't know. But little by little, I became their friends. Little by little, my mindset started to change, kind of what you were saying about the homes, because I didn't get it. But I just started absorbing other cultures and pretending. But I'm a realist. Like, I love it. I love when people talk about being real. I'm just a realist. I love the Black Wall Street idea, but I'm a realist.
All right, so Dion, I want to spend a little time with you. For a couple seconds, we have to go to a commercial break. But I want you to talk about when we spoke yesterday, and you told me that you did certifications and business, and I asked you about the MBE. I said, the Meeby Weebies. And you're just like, that's dissolved. They ain't around no more. What happened to, how did it get dissolved? What happened to the Meeby Weebies?
MBE, everybody talks a lot about MBE because our parents and their parents knew about MBE. MBE, you guys ever heard of MBE? MBE is like, okay, first of all, keep it real because we ain't got that much time. I look like I was supposed to say something.
You did.
I got serious. I had to raise the voice up. She looked like, oh my God. That's South Central. But what she's talking about, the being certified and getting your businesses ready, because the money that's coming through LA that we can qualify for, we're gonna lose again. Like you were talking about, we're gonna lose again. It's like crazy. The tables that I'm sitting at. And she knows that's why I spend my own money doing this stuff. MBE was like a minority business enterprise. So if you owned a business and you wanted a contract selling some of your stuff, MBE would be like showing that I'm a minority. But that's kind of died down now because you don't even know it exists. So they took it away. And now there's other ways that you can certify.
And I want to get more into detail about that because some of our listeners do know about the Meeby Weeby program and they probably don't know that it was dissolved. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation on entrepreneurship and today's Black Wall Street. We also want to hear from you, so give us a call. I know you have an opinion about our need to recycle Black dollars. So we're going to take a quick break here on the front page on 102.3 Radio Free KJLH. We'll be right back.
The Dialogue, the community voice of Southern California's young professional network. Relevant discussions about the thoughts, concerns, opportunities, and challenges faced by today's generational leaders. Real talk, real people. This is The Dialogue. The Dialogue with Starlett Quarles.
Welcome back to the front page. I am your guest host, filling in for Dominique, Starlett Quarles, and this morning we're celebrating the Kwanzaa principle of Ujamaa, or cooperative economics, with our conversation entrepreneurship in today's Black Wall Street communities. My guests include Chanel Frampton, Kenya Kirkland, and Dion Rambo. And I have to say, during the commercial break, we just got aware that a caller called in and felt like we were making a mockery of Black businesses and saying that Lamert Park is not lost. And let me just say, I often use levity just to bring light to serious situations. So if you hear us laughing, we're not making fun of anything. That's just our personalities, and we're just having a good time with the conversation. But by no means are we making a mockery of Black business. We are supporting Black businesses. We are encouraging to practice cooperative economics and recycling Black dollars and owning our own wealth. The truth of the matter is there were a lot of renters who were in Leimert Park. Some of them are being displaced because their owners now have seen the value in the train coming down Crenshaw Boulevard, and they've either raised their rents or if they've sold their building because they did not own it. If you own something, you can't get displaced if you own it. So I know our panel wanted to address, and Dion, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, no.
Do you want to address the caller's comments about our ability to have a mindset? Wanting to recycle our black dollars is a mindset. We all know. We're not saying anything that's not true about the dollar not recycling in our community for more than an hour. And you can look at Koreatown. You can look at Chinatown. The signs are different when you go. You know what I mean? They own it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Dion, in terms of addressing the caller who believes that we are making a mockery of business and that Leimert Park is lost, and no, it's not lost in terms of people living there, but honestly, how many black people own majority of the buildings in Leimert Park? So, Dion, you want to respond?
I think if someone's going to stand up and say, I'm not Starlett, so I'm a little bit, my mouth is a little bit, but if somebody's going to stand up and say something that disagree with something, then they should put their name. If they're that confident in saying we all should connect, I think they should. I'm Dion Rambo. I own Rambo House, and this is my view. Okay. That's my honest opinion. And there's a separation between what Leimert Park is in our brains and what business is in our brains and what ownership is. I think those are all different things. You can't kind of mix them together and say we're making mockery of Leimert. Well, no one's saying with disrespecting Leimert Park. We built our businesses on the backs of our parents and our foreparents. So I don't think that's the case. We're not making a mockery.
And talking about just the dashiki comment, I mean, we all know that Leimert Park historically had a lot of cultural businesses. And there is a generation who just is not that culturally connected. So they weren't spending their money in Leimert Park. They
want more.
What do we want? You know what I mean?
We want more. We want, there used to be, I don't think it's still there, a coffee shop that was owned by two twin black brothers, and it was so cool and dope. And I used to hang out there, and I think they were displaced. I'm not sure, but I don't hang out in Leimert because there's not much for me in Leimert. I just started going back on Sundays, and I think the vibe is dope. The vibe is amazing. I know that there are some art galleries that are black owned galleries, but really we missed the mark by not buying in Leimert in the 90s or maybe early 2000s when we could have bought a building.
Actually, a lot of people did buy in Leimert. They were just bought out.
They were smart. Oh.
They were bought out when Metro was preparing to build 10 years ago.
Now, just watch what happens with Liquor Bank, right? Liquor Bank is now, they lost their liquor license.
But is Liquor Bank black owned?
No, I don't think so. Okay. And so it's going to go away. So let's see.
The transition, everything is dispersed.
Who buys that property? We now know, many of us knew, or maybe some of us didn't know actually, that the Urban League building was for sale. We did not know that the Urban League building was for sale at some point. Yeah. And now it's being sold to someone who doesn't look like us. And historically, that has been.
We lost Leimert Park. Leimert Park is gone.
So, Chanel, I know you want to say, then I want to ask Dion about the. You're good. So, Chanel, you wanted to say.
Oh, man, I wanted to piggyback on the original question, but
just about the mockery of our businesses, making mockery of Leimert Park and us laughing like we can't laugh.
I mean, all of us are business owners here. Yeah. So we all own our own businesses. I think the comment that I was trying to make earlier is that we didn't have a seat at the table. I feel like there was a lot of changes that happened, and maybe they weren't prepared to buy. Maybe they thought they could just rent, or they didn't know this shift was happening. But I think the purpose or the great thing about even us discussing it now is just bringing awareness to it. Okay, we know this is happening. They're buying up the area. Can we come together now? There's still opportunity to buy.
I was going to say.
There's still opportunity to come together.
There's still opportunity to rent if you can afford it.
To rent if you can afford it, or merge some businesses together. Hi, you own a lotion or shea butter.
That's cool.
Or whatever you have going on.
Let's share this space.
Let's share this space, right? So when we're talking about cooperative economics, that's working with you. I don't have to just own the shop next to you. Maybe we share the space until I can branch out. There's a lot of communities
That's smart. That's cool.
that work in one area, and they try to create enough wealth where they could all build out, right?
So Dion, just tell us real quickly about this $200 trillion. I said $200 trillion.
Well, $1 trillion, $200 billion. $200
billion.
Yeah, but $200 billion was just released to Public Works.
Okay. So what is the opportunity that's coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, there's about $1 trillion coming through LA right now. What that means is there's hundreds of billions of dollars being put into LA's, you know how they're changing all the infrastructure, the building and all that. Well, a portion of that money must go to the small and local businesses in LA. That's what we're talking about being certified.
Yeah. Because I'm like, when I hear you say that, I'm like, oh, that don't apply to me. I design and produce clothes.
I'm like, they need you all day because the school districts, everything. If you go to something called the BAVN, LABAVN, it's a free web portal that all contracts, everybody, all the city departments, Parks and Recs, everybody who would probably need you, they all put their contracts in there. it's free, but you get emails almost every day or weekly.
Now, what's important to know that when we had the Maybe Weeby program, there was money designated specifically for minority and women business. Now that that's gone, you have to be competitive because it's just for small business, not for minority small businesses.
There's a proposition that came out called Proposition 209, and that's what said we don't have to look at your race. We don't have to. So it kind of messed us up. Like that's what took away the MBE. Right. This proposition that came out that took it away. But you got to remember though, they don't see your color. Like you can now bid on. It's bad because we're like, oh man, we want you to see black. But really, that sounds bad.
Did we do that?
That was me. That was me. That was my. Oh man, he said you're oh man first. But
so racist. Against your own people.
No, that's my circle. That's my circle.
Oh my God! You need to come back south of Booster. You need to come back south of Booster. You need to try to get him back.
Oh man, that's bad. Can't say oh man on KJLH. Can't say oh man on KJLH.
But you did it like you were just like a little.
Oh yeah, see that's because of my hands went like that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, go start it. Go.
Okay, no.
But I'm saying so now opportunities are even more for minorities. I mean, it's like honestly, I promise to you, when I'm sitting at the table and they're figuring out all this stuff, honestly, they're like, there's so much money on the table now. It's just, we don't know. Like, there's nobody like a Dion telling you, girl, you got more chances now. Like, at the same time, I'm not like shooting our coach. I'm saying, yo, you got more of a chance, especially being a woman. Like all day, women and veterans all day. So so she was saying, you're right. GLAAACC is one of the best organizations to kind of be a part of with that because they fight for these things too. But if you're local, meaning if I pay you $100,000 because we need some shirt apparel with the Unified School District, I just need to know that if I pay you $100,000 that you're going to pay your taxes in LA. The cool thing about that is I don't know your color. I see a piece of paper. You know what I'm saying? So I get a piece of paper put on my desk and so she a woman. She gonna pay taxes in LA.
But her name is Kenya. Like I don't think I can get around
Kenya. They look at your company. They look at your company.
So who are the primes and what are the opportunities out there?
So primes are like, they mean primary. So majority of the billions of dollars would go to a prime. Let's say like a Turner Construction or like a Bedford. They're a prime, right? The primes then cut up the money. They have to give like 20-30% to minority, women, local businesses. So let's say the LAX is putting $5 billion, for example, building the LAX expansion. That $5 billion, just saying it's mandatory that 30% of it must be given to local small businesses. That's freaking huge. Yeah. That's like saying over $1 billion got to go to businesses like yours in LA.
So you help people get certified? Is that what you do?
I don't personally help. I just help where to go, how to do it, what to do, because I don't make anything from you. I'm just really excited about the opportunities you have.
So the first part, and first of all, you got to know where the game is being played. Yes. Right? And we often don't know where the game is being played. We don't know how to get in the game. We don't know what the game is all about, how to be competitive in the game. Yeah. So this is what this is. It's just like I'm telling about the condos. We were telling you 2 years in advance that it's coming. Dion is telling small businesses, hey, 200, what'd you say?
Over hundreds of billions of dollars.
Hundreds of billions of dollars are coming to LA for small businesses, and that means that small business for everybody, not just black businesses, it's Asian businesses, it's white businesses. So get on this money train. Right?
Our lack of knowledge. We only lose every time because of our lack of knowledge. And no one ever saying to you, like someone like, I don't want nothing from your business, but I'm just telling you where the doors are. But I'm like so passionate about if you want to break the curse of your family, if you want to like just put your kids through college. I don't know any other time in history in LA, I swear, other than drugs, we're talking about that, other than drugs and playing sports, that this type of money is available and they're going to just look at your paper.
And this is the time of our generation, my generation, Gen X, of millionaires, even billionaires. Puffy, it's a billionaire. I mean, he's a millionaire. You got Jay-Z, you got Dre. There's more black millionaires and billionaires. But the problem is the mindset has stayed the same. Right? So to the extent that we have these black millionaires and billionaires now, they do need to now reinvest in their communities.
I agree with that.
We can have our own TV station. Puffy and...
Well, Oprah tried that, so...
But who kept her on the air? Who's keeping her on the air? But black people.
Yeah, right? You say tried as in didn't succeed. We got owned.
No, we got owned.
I'm talking about trying to buy CBS. I'm talking about
Black people have, in my opinion, have kept on the air because the majority of her shows are catered towards Black people. We'll support each other if we know about it, right? During the riots, the buildings that weren't burned down were the ones that said Black owned, right? So we do have a sense of cultural connectivity. True. It's just not being taught. It's not being taught at birth. It's not being taught and passed down.
But I think it should be taught in terms of how life is currently. Like, you're really good at that. Like, you're a leader at something like that. Like, when I listen to you, even for the years ago, you always find a way. You understand the past, but merging it with the today's inside. Like, I'm even looking at a lot of people when they're talking and they're saying things down to your show, it's usually about the past. You're really good as a leader in bringing, okay, that's the past, we respect it. How do we make that work today?
I'm very solution-oriented. I do like to set the tone. Thank you for acknowledging that. We're going to go to the phone. I do like to say this, but I am solution-oriented because we have to stop being emotional. Trump is not something to get emotional about. He's something to strategize around. And there's a generation that has benefited from the civil rights movement, my generation. And we've gone to these white institutions and we've seen white privilege at work. And we've also seen us graduate with these degrees from these white institutions and can't get a job because we don't have the network and we don't have the contacts and we don't have the connections. We'll get an education.
We're the entrepreneurs, though.
But we're natural born. Our best and brightest entrepreneurs are locked up. Kenya, you wanted to say?
I just want to say one thing that's missing from the agenda, or that I think we keep punking out on, is making a conscious and fearless decision to spend our money with each other. Like, I'm not taking this money to a Korean store. Like, period. It's not about anything other than I want to support my culture. You know, we get money, like you just said, we don't bring it back to the community, but it's even on a smaller level. If you made $40,000 this year, how much of that did you spend at the liquor store, at the Korean-owned liquor bank, and the swap meet and everywhere else? We got fearless about this in every level of money.
And we have, like I said in my monologue, we have built up these Korean towns and these, because they're taking our money from these liquor stores and they're giving it to their kids. Our rightful money, who's not coming back to our kids and our legacy, is going to their kids. Have you seen? No, really, in real life, have you seen Little Tokyo right now? Little Tokyo is off the hook. Do you know what I'm saying? Little Tokyo is off the hook. So when it comes to redevelopment or gentrification, you need to build for the next generation.
But why, when you say you live in Inglewood or you have a business in Inglewood, it's like, oh, Inglewood, it's like you're embarrassed, or there's this shame over it.
Not
or there's
now,
this,
honey.
like, rolling your eyes about Inglewood.
No,
it's
white
like,
people are now saying, ooh, I live in Inglewood.
Yeah, but black folks still are not like Inglewood. You know, we still kind of like, I really wish I was, further north. We have a bit of shame about our own communities.
Okay. We should. Let's go to the phone lines because we do have some people who have been waiting so patiently. We're going to go to El Nubian from Los Angeles. Hi, El Nubian. You are on the front page. You have a comment or question for our guest?
Yeah, and I wanted to, I guess there's some realization, at one point in time, blacks couldn't move west of Arlington.
You know what I'm talking about? That part.
And I lived on Santa Barbara in Arlington back in the early 60s. Yeah, we could go to the mall when it wasn't called the mall over there, Santa Barbara Plaza, whatever. But they were still mostly whites and Japanese over there. They were holding Leimert Park so they could get it back. I think we lived in Venice longer than we had over in Leimert Park, but it was Sean Penn moving into Venice in the 80s that drove up the prices and that, moved all the blacks out, which now Snapchat is moving the white people out in Venice.
Right. Thank you so much for your call, El Nubian. And that's right. Communities that are historically black now, we talked about it earlier this week. I mean, there are covenants in View Park and Windsor Hills. Like, you can't sell to black people. Make sure you do not sell this to people of, black or African descent. And now, look, we're there in large numbers. And when you look at South LA, there are a lot of communities that are not predominantly black anymore. They're predominantly Hispanic. So where are black people in LA? They're all over. They're in the Valley. They're in the IE.
Somebody said they're on Skid Row.
There is a community on Skid Row, absolutely.
The black folks ain't moving away; they getting put out. No, for real, that's deep. Think about that.
And we saw even during the recession, a lot of people moved to Atlanta. They just left LA all together because LA is a very, very expensive place to live. So what does it mean? And Kenya, you kind of alluded this. One of you guys alluded this earlier. What does it mean to have a seat at the table?
A seat at the table means that your voice is heard, your issues, whatever is relating to you. And I feel like we don't have a seat at the table. Our issues aren't being heard. And we don't have, well, it's not that we don't have, but I feel like for people who feel like things aren't changing the way they want to, they don't have representatives advocating for them. And I think that's one good thing about the business associations. I mean, that is their role to advocate advocate on behalf of small businesses to say, okay, we need this in our community. You need to hire 10% of locals or whatever the case may be, and advocate for those policies. So that, to me, is the seat at the table. Okay. You're actually in the policy making. You're in the room where they're making the deal.
And sometimes everybody else in the room don't look like you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a power move. That's a power seat. When you have to see the table and you're the only one, it's okay to be the Uncle Tom. I'm not the Uncle Tom, but it's okay to be the only black in the room. I did not mean Uncle Tom. I'm just saying it's okay to be the only black in the room because you have to be able to leverage that. I believe in being the spook by the door. You don't have to let them know what you're doing, but you got to get the information, you got to get the access, and you got to bring it back to your people. Kenya, what does it mean to have
to speak up?
What does it mean to have a seat at the table?
I think that having a seat at the table is having your moment, exactly what you said, to advocate for it. I don't think we should get to the table and be silent. I think we should get there and fight for us, maybe do it in a strategic way. You know, you also don't have to be at the table with your sign, but be there.
You got to play the game.
Be prepared and be open, and not only bring information back, but come back with a strategy. You know what I mean? And take information, valuable information to the table.
Dion.
I mean, I agree. I think, being at the table is really just about, but totally with you, like not being at the table, necessarily holding up signs and stuff like that, but just representing. If we want equality and stuff like that, then we're going to have to play kind of an equal game.
And there has to be a growth in black people in being the only black in the room. Because I know for me, my experience at UCLA, going to all predominantly white institution, my experience, although it was a white institution, my experience was black because we kind of self-segregated. So I'm in a room of 250 white people, not knowing of their privilege or their access. They may have the answers to the quiz because the Uncle Biff went there 20 years ago and hooked him up with a professor. So we self-segregate versus understanding how to leverage having that one little white friend who got some access, right? So I just know that we need to be able to, when we're the only black in the room, to feel more comfortable. I know some of us are not comfortable networking in all white spaces, but sometimes
some of them not comfortable networking in all black spaces.
That is true, but they'll pay for the dinner tickets, won't they, Chanel?
Yes, they will
pay the $10,000, $20,000 and sponsor a dinner ticket, and send their black employees. You know what I mean? Even if they're doing the right thing, just perception-wise and business-wise, they're going to invest.
But do you think that people aren't, going back to your point too about, you think they're not buying from black businesses because of the ethnicity, or do you think it's the price?
I think it's the price.
Other black people aren't buying from black people because it's the price?
Or do you think it's the color? Because when people sometimes say, blacks need to support blacks, do you think it's about that, or do you think the first mind in the consumer is the price?
There are plenty of black people, and I'm just speaking from a retail fashion place because that's my perspective, but there are a lot of black women who live in Ladera Heights and Baldwin Hills and Inglewood who shop at Saks and do not go to Saks and ask for a discount. They shop at all the high-end luxury brands, and I am offering a high-end luxury service. Now, it wasn't always that, but I'm not going to apologize for what I do and what I serve or what I offer.
So you're saying that black people always try to look for a hookup from other black people?
For real. Like, we downgrade each other. When we come in and we see a black woman, it's like, that's cool, but let me get that. You assume I have it to take it off.
Right.
When you're not really taking it, taking in consideration that I'm paying more than Saks did.
Got it.
Because I couldn't buy 1,000 of this one thing.
So, Chanel, do you think black people take black businesses for granted?
I was going to answer his other question, but I'm not too sure. I know that I do frequent black businesses, one of which is Charlie's Shoes on Pico.
How come every time you mention this store, it's like the commercial?
Vanity on La Brea. It's an excellent store, and sometimes because I'm a loyal customer, I will get a discount.
Right.
It's not
because
something,
you're a loyal customer, but not when you walk in and you let me get, it's 100. Can I give you 80? Or can you not charge me no tax? But I got to pay tax.
Right. So I was talking to Kenya earlier. We were talking about this conversation, kind of piggybacking on what Dion was saying. If you can do mass consumption or production, of course, my price point is going to be lower than the entrepreneur, the small business or the micro business, really, that can only make 5 units of this. And so it's going to cost more, but it could be the same quality or better. But it's going to cost more. And so it's just like, okay, while I can get it here, or I can get it on Amazon for $29.99 on Prime in 2 days, have it delivered.
Yeah, that's commercial. That's that commercial voice.
No, but I do believe in supporting black businesses. And a lot of times I think there's some... Did you tell me about Sweet Chicks? Is that a black restaurant?
I love Sweet Chicks. It's partly black owned. It's owned by Nas.
Right. I had no idea that it existed, right? So a lot of that is, I don't know you exist, so I'm at Saks.
That's what I was going to say.
I don't know you exist, so I'm at Neiman's.
Well, I was going to say, too, but not only just the knowing you exist part. I just think, nothing.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Say it.
Okay, well, let's go to a caller. We're going to go to Lynette from Los Angeles. Hi, Lynette. You're on the front page. You have a comment or a question for our guests?
Oh, happy holidays to you all, and thank you for taking my call. And good morning, front page family, reparations in memory of our ancestors. Yes, well, this has been one wonderful week of shows, I must say, and this one right here is really, I think, is just outstanding. I mean, we are having the kind of dialogue we need to be having most of the time.
Thank you, Starlett.
Yeah, you guys are,
she's awesome.
I mean, you guys are really on point with your points. But I definitely think that we have to get back to Marcus Garveyism, and of course, the Black Wall Street and Dr. King and his Poor People's Campaign with the Universal Basic Income, Guaranteed Income movement that Reverend Barber is taking up. And he just met with the Pope, actually.
Okay.
Even on a global level. And Facebook, the co-founder of Facebook, that is, they're for the Universal Guaranteed Basic Income. And even Nixon was for it, which was for $10,000 a year for anybody and everybody, whether they worked or not. But, the Democrats, they blocked that some time ago. And, so now we're back to it because we're looking at automation and all these jobs aren't going to be here. So, but they're already been testing it out in Stockton, Canada, everywhere. And people are they're really getting on board with it because it's an idea whose time has come, thanks to Dr. King.
Okay.
But anyway, I think that we have to also, along with those ideas, is to leverage the power, the economic and political power that we do have.
Excellent.
I mean, I'm looking at here, Inglewood. We don't have not now one black-owned hotel, and all these people are going to be coming from everywhere.
Yes, they are.
Very soon. What happened to them getting a hold of NABHOOD, National Association of Black Hotel Owners and Operators and Developers.com?
Nice.
We got black hotels. We may not have a black hotel chain. Okay, we got to stay in office so we can keep our sister cities programs for our businesses and with Africa. We don't even have one in Inglewood. I think that's very disturbing, too. We had one.
So you're going to start one?
Well, I'm just saying, we have to think in terms of leveraging, again, we have these international speculators.
Wait.
Dion, hold that thought. And Lynette, I got to hold your thought because I need to go to a commercial break. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your comments, and I appreciate your support and for tuning in to today's conversation. And all week, it sounds like you've been listening all week. So thank you so much, Lynette. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Starlett Quarles filling in for Dominique DePrima. This morning, we have been talking about entrepreneurship and today's Black Wall Street communities in celebration of today's Kwanzaa principle of Ujamaa, or cooperative economics. We're going to take this quick commercial break, and we're going to return right here to the front page of 102.3 Radio Free KJLH. Hi, this is Starlett Quarles of The Dialogue, and I'm excited to announce that we will be returning this summer with a series of new shows addressing topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So join the conversation by subscribing to our YouTube page, following me on social media, or signing up on our mailing list at thedialoguela.com. Tune into The Dialogue with Starlett Quarles. Real talk, real people. Welcome back to the front page. If you're just now joining us, I'm Starlett Quarles filling in for Dominique DePrima. This morning, we have been celebrating the principle of Ujamaa, or cooperative economics, with our conversation, entrepreneurship, and today's Black Wall Street communities. My guests include Chanel Frampton, Kenya Kirkland, and Dion Rambo. And Chanel, during the commercial break, we were talking about black business organizations. There are so many black business organizations out here in LA. You got the BBA, you have the Urban League, you have GLAAACC, you have the Crenshaw Chambers, you have Recycling Back Dollars. I mean, there are so many. That's just to name a few. Shout out to all of those organizations. So please share with us your thoughts on the value of these organizations, and how does a small business owner or an entrepreneur choose the right business organization for them?
So I think, like you said, there's so many out here, and you really have to do your research as a business owner, because like you said, there's so many choices. So Recycling Black Dollars is a wonderful organization, Black Business Association, GLAAACC, as well, Urban League. But they don't fit for everyone, right? I think these black organizations, these business associations, are really keen on and really good at networking. So you want to be in an association where you can network, where you can help your business grow, where there's growth and capacity building. And you want to find one that really lines up with what you're trying to do. So for me, that's the best situation. Now, of course, I would want everyone to join the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce. But everyone is not going to choose that association, right? So it's really a personal preference of, like I said, which one is best to fit.
Okay. Kenya, do you use any Black business organization? Are you a member of Black business organizations? And if you have been, how have they helped you?
Kenya has been to some of my workshops.
Okay.
I'm a member of Inglewood Chamber.
Okay.
I'm not very active, but that is a plan that I want to change for 18 to network with more professionals. And I think that is where some of us drop the ball, is being so stuck in our businesses and not getting out and networking with other professionals and taking that step. So,
Dion, Black business organizations and their support.
I think the only one I'm a part of right now is probably GLAAACC.
Okay. And so why are you just a member of GLAAACC? What benefits have you gotten from GLAAACC specifically? And then, Chanel, I want you to come back and follow that up. But what exactly is the difference between a support organization and a chamber of commerce? But Dion, talk about how GLAAACC has helped your business.
They haven't. They haven't.
Oh, okay. So why are you a member?
Because Kareem originally, and they brought me in, but I haven't heard anything from movement from GLAAACC. I just know I respect them.
Oh,
just because of who they are, but I haven't.
So Chanel's face has changed. So Chanel,
but she's the bomb.
So okay, so case in point, you have a member who is a member of GLAAACC. So how do you make it a win-win? Because it's all about how you leverage it too, right? So if you're joining a membership organization, you have to be able to leverage it. You have to have an agenda.
Correct.
You know, so you did say you joined because your homie hooked you up. Do you know what I mean? Or you told you about it? But did you have an agenda?
No, he was just somebody that I met. And then I think he was speaking somewhere.
Okay, so did you have an agenda for joining, or were you just joining to support the organization?
No, I joined because I wanted
to support
something. I wanted to see a chamber that does something.
Okay, and so do you believe that GLAAACC is a chamber?
They haven't done anything for me.
You mean done something for you personally,
or the businesses that I'm around? No.
Okay, so Chanel, respond.
Can I tell what they've done for me before you respond?
Okay, because
I got to stop
just thinking about me. I'm just thinking about me.
Her lips are real heavy.
And I got to chime in. That's not the type of. I gotta chime in and say,
go ahead.
Even though I'm not a member of GLAAACC, that GLAAACC connecting me with Airbnb to bring experiences.
Why aren't you a member of GLAAACC?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I'm going to become a member of GLAAACC this year.
Okay. See, they probably just need ambassadors or something like that. But I'm over 2,500 Black businesses that I fund and take care of, and I wish I could say there. I mean, because there's not other organizations like you guys. That's why you still speak.
So what organizations are? First of all, let me just let Kenya finish. So GLAAACC has supported you in terms of the
connecting me with Airbnb. That was something that,
and that's what you leverage.
Offering experiences to other people. I wouldn't have been able to make that connection with Airbnb without GLAAACC.
Okay, all right. So Chanel, now
did GLAAACC do it or did she do it?
It doesn't matter. GLAAAC hosted it.
It was a GLAAAC event, but she invited me.
But she's not a GLAAAC, right? But you know what I'm saying? It's the relationship.
But I want to say I represent a group of people who are not using all their resources because my sales wasn't flowing, so I didn't register. Right. You know what I mean? Right. That's the bottom line. A lot of times you don't have extra income to invest in some of these things that you need to invest in.
But then we do have that entrepreneur like Dion who just gives money because they want to support a Black, or they feel obligated. I don't know if they feel obligated to support a Black organization. They don't necessarily have an agenda for that organization for themselves, but they just want to support it. So there's two types of memberships. Some people who want to support just because it's Black and hey, you know, I just want to do my duty.
And the people who need the resources.
People who actually need the resources. So Chanel, now that your lips are back together, so you can respond to GLAAACC and how it supports businesses, and respond to Dion.
In my previous statement, I said that you have to find an association that really fits your business. To Dion's point, I don't know what that means in terms of how GLAAACC hasn't helped you. I don't know what you have been looking for. Okay. So it's kind of hard for me, or not for me, but kind of like for me to answer it because I don't know what your needs are.
Has GLAAACC called their members?
Yes.
Has GLAAACC ever called me?
There has been an orientation
I'm sure
call.
You got at least an email.
I mean, they email blast. I email blast. But my thing is like, you're wonderful, but I think every time, that's one of the things, like when
you need me to, did you need somebody to call you?
No, I'm just making a point. I'm just making a point. If it's to the extent, it's like when people complain about, let's say, foundations or black kids. It's like, do something about the black kids.
But it's also how you use it too, because you just said they didn't
honestly,
call you.
Keep it real with you. I mean, I could speak on this all day. I mean, I've been a part of a lot of different chambers.
Okay.
I helped start some. I manage some. I manage 60 websites. Some of them are Chamber of Commerce. We built them, and I know either the mission about them. I know it's going to such and such. So sure, but I'm not telling GLAAACC how to run. I love Gene. You guys are dope in regards to.
No, what I'm trying to hear. I mean, because this is like a good perspective.
Yeah.
In terms of what does a member need. I mean, it's not just you joining the organization and you being on the member list and you getting the updates and the notifications. Yeah. You're saying I never got a phone call.
No, I was just using the phone call honestly as an example.
Some people feel like that.
Right. No,
right?
I wasn't really using the phone call as a point. I was just using it as an example. On the flip side
of that, and I can say on behalf of GLAAACC that they're having opportunities where I've had new members who have signed up to GLAAACC and they've looked through the networking book or the membership book, and someone's contacted me. Hey, I saw that you're a member of GLAAACC. I just joined GLAAACC. Can we get together and talk about, the benefits or how we can work together? So it's really how you use it, right? Like you were saying, like you really didn't have an agenda for GLAAACC. You just gave them some money. And
I hadn't. No, I wanted my business to grow. I fund a lot of different things, but when I got with GLAAACC or different, and honestly, that's why I keep saying I'm not hating on GLAAACC because we walked in. I told you I love. I love what GLAAACC represent and they stand for, but I think some Chamber of Commerces should evolve and be what we need right now.
Okay,
that's
right.
that's opinion. But I'm talking to the board member and I'm talking to the person who's in charge of things. But I'm telling you guys, I know. I'm telling you, that's why I'm with you guys.
GLAACC.org. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about
y'all like gangsters up in here.
Because you talk about
you said about our people. I didn't even say nothing bad about it.
Shout out to Gene Hill and Angela Gibson.
Y'all just G-walked on me. Y'all GLAAACC walked on me.
Okay, so real quickly, Kenya. So
yes.
Talk about the power of collaboration and having strategic alliances. Have you talked about working with other black businesses and collaborating with them? But talk about collaboration and sometimes how we need to collaborate with people who don't look like us, but for the benefit of us.
You know what? It's very, very important. A lot of times we feel more comfortable partnering with people who have complementary brands or businesses, but I think the power in buying is something that we need to wake up to. As a small business owner, a small boutique owner, it would behoove me and other small business owners or boutique owners to get together and buy from Korea Direct. You know what I mean? Why are we so much in competition that we can't put our money together to get things that'll be cheaper so we can compete with Amazon? You know what I mean? In certain categories. So I think that's one thing that we need to do is put our resources together to buy like similar things, but then also partnering with people who have access to some of the things that we don't have access to is can push you forward in your business. So
we're running down to the last time, so I'm going to give you guys this one last question, and then I want you to answer the question very quickly and give people information on how they can contact you. So in terms of a power move, can an increase in black entrepreneurship be our new Underground Railroad in terms of it being a power move? Because what she did was just power and it was strategic and it gave us our freedom. So Chanel, do you think black entrepreneurship can be our new age Underground Railroad?
I think money talks.
Money talks and money walks and money gives you freedom.
So every entrepreneur, every business owner is not making money. So if you're successful in it,
it can give you your freedom.
Yeah, it can give you your freedom, and it definitely will give you your power.
How can people call you? How can people contact you?
Yeah, so you can reach me at GLAAACC, Chanel at GLAAACC.org.
How you spell Chanel, just so they know?
Oh, CHANEL. It's like the brand.
Okay, at GLAAACC.org.
At GLAAACC.org.
Kenya, is entrepreneurship the new Underground Railroad? Is that our road to freedom?
If we plan to launch businesses that are profitable and that are impactful to the world. It's not enough just to make money. You need to make money and change the world. I think that business plans should be $250,000 and above your goal. Like, let's stop launching businesses where we're shooting to make $75,000. Just go get a job.
Yeah, let's shoot for that tax break that Trump is giving all the corporations. That's what we want to shoot for. We want to get the break. How can people find you, sweetie?
KenyaKirkland.com, at The Style Icon on all social media. That's THE.
And where's your boutique again?
And I am on La Brea in 64th Place at 1323 North La Brea in Inglewood.
Come check her out. Come check her out. Support black businesses. Dion, how can people find you?
Rambo, Dion, you can email me, Dion at RamboHouse.com. But definitely I'm pushing that Building LA today. And I wish all minorities getting contracts, getting certified, and getting a piece of the money. And yeah, I think when you said that to me yesterday about being an underground railroad, I was like, that's dope. I like that.
All right, you heard it here first. Entrepreneurship is the new
that was great how you said
underground railroad. So thank you all so much. Oh, you gave your Black LA Today.
Go to like, if you want to see the free videos, just go to buildingLAtoday.com. It was just the website that I had built. It's like videos only on teaching contracts.
And so you're not having an event or anything coming up?
Not coming up yet. Maybe I'll do something with GLAAACC since I'm a member and I'm now.
Exactly. Why don't you leverage that?
Yes. Why don't we do it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Can we
good.
do it together? Don't you look? Why are you doing that? You like, man, cool.
Thank you so much for tuning into the front page this morning. I'd like to thank my guests, Chanel, Frampton, Kenya, Kirkland,
I want to
Dion.
publicly apologize to GLAAACC.
You in trouble now.
I know I'm in trouble. I'm a member.
Stop. Make sure you tune in January 2nd so we can have more stimulating talk and generational conversations. Until then, happy Kwanzaa and have a safe and happy New Year. I'm Starlett Quarles signing off as my mama's child and my daddy's baby girl. God bless you.